they overran the forces beside us. And they broke into K Company and wiped out K Company, which was on our flank. Mm-hmm. So, since our flank was gone, we had to withdraw. So we were withdrawing, and the Germans were advancing. We were both headed in the same direction. We were retreating, and they were advancing, but we were doing this in parallel lines. Mm-hmm. And finally we hit. Our two forces touched in a town where the memorial to the 99th Infantry is put. And we came in, and in that town square, there was another gigantic firefight. I have no idea how many men were killed, but the whole square was covered with American and German bodies. So we continued to retreat, and they continued to advance, and we didn't touch again. I stayed to work on the people there. Each man in the small of his back carried a bandage, 3 inches long, 2 inches wide, 1/2 inch thick on his belt. Now, as an aid man, I carried probably 25 bandages, and we were looking at 200 men in this square that were wounded, and I went to work on them. I would roll a man over, and if he did not have a bandage, I didn't work on him, because I had used up all of my bandages in the first 16 men I had come to. And so I was working on them, and I looked up, and there was a German medic across the square working on men. And finally he came over to me and said, "I have lost my scissors." And I had an extra pair of scissors and gave them to him. And he went back and went to work. And he was working only on Germans. And I said, "You've got to stop that. You've got to work on everybody." And told him where the American bandage was on the back of each man. And so he started working on everybody. And as we were working on these people, a car drove up across the square from me, and a German officer got out. And he called to the German medic and said, "That's an American, kill him." And the German medic said, "He's working for me, he's helping me." And he said, the officer said, "He's an American, kill him." And so he pulled out a pistol and started shooting at me. Now, I don't know if you have fired any pistols or not, but if you want to shoot somebody on the other side of that third tree, you ain't going to hit them from here, not with a pistol. Mm-hmm. You might with a rifle. I knew I was perfectly safe. So this guy started shooting at me, and the German medic stood in between us. And so with that, the German officer got back in his car and drove away. And we worked until we ran out of Band-Aids and medicine. I had morphine. He did not have morphine. And I gave him morphine. I had a lot of ampules. And So I must have given him 50 ampules of morphine. And I used all of my morphine, and I'm sure he used all 50 I gave him. He only gave the morphine to Germans. I have no earthly idea who the man was. I have no earthly idea what his name was, anything else. All I want to tell you is he was a German medic.